Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be your host for the PSAI Talk Show today. I'm Primrose Jasmine from the PSAI Chennai chapter, and I would like to call myself as a neural influencer. I guide people to use the most powerful tool they have, their mind. I also enhance individuals to reprogram their neurons so that they can enhance their productivity, they can achieve their goals, and discover their true potential. Again, a warm welcome to all of you who are tuning in from various parts of the world to this talk show. Before we could dive into today's special edition, let me share little information about PSAI. The Professional Speakers Association of India has been formed to help build a strong community to enhance your professional speaking career globally. PSII is also proud to be a part of GSF, Global Speakers Federation, an organization of 17 national speaking associations across the globe. In India, PSAI is in most of the cities like Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Vadodara, and we have recently launched a virtual chapter as well. But today we are going to talk more about the PSAI Talk Show. And just for the benefit of audience who have joined us who are also non-PSAI members, I'm going to share a little bit of information about this talk show. Now, PSAI is a live interactive event which gives you deeper insights into PSAI's vision, values, and the benefits of being part of our speaking fraternity. You can ask questions live, learn from experts, and connect with passionate professionals across the country. As I mentioned in the beginning, today's edition is indeed a special edition because usually we would have one speaker, but today we have three stalwarts who would enlighten us with their experience of speaking in the New Zealand Summit and also share tips using which you can excel in your speaking journey. Now, we would like to call today's topic as the Global Spotlight, and I'm excited to welcome our guest speakers for the day. Dr. Saurabh Patil, SPR coach. Welcome to
Hello,
the show.
Jasmine.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Saurabh Patil. Over to you for your introduction, just for the benefit of people who are not from PSAI, because you're quite famous. We all know you really well.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for the kind words. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Saurabh Patil. I'm a global speaker, an SPR coach, author, and mentor. I've been part of PSAI since the last 4 years. This is my fourth year. I'm help leaders master their fire without losing the edge. What does that mean? It means I help leaders, CXOs, and entrepreneurs master and channel their anger to become better leaders instead of the triggers affecting them and help and losing the rage. I've also been an entrepreneur in hospitality since the last 4 years and into healthcare since the last 10 years. That's it from me. Over to you, Jasmine.
Thank you very much, Saurabh, for that introduction. Now, I would like to call the next speaker, Dr. Alka Chadha, the water alchemist. Welcome, Dr. Alka. You're on mute, Alka. You're on mute, Alka.
So my name is Alka, Alka as in alcohol, but I don't drink alcohol because I'm always high on life. I'm a part of PSI by accident. I'm a full-time practicing doctor for the last 30 plus years. And today what I do is I help people and organizations to increase their productivity performance by using the birth of people and their purpose and playfulness. That is who I am. So be playful, my friends, have fun, and look for fun in your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that humorous start of the introduction. And it was interesting to know about you, Dr. Alka. Thank you so much. Now, we are going to welcome our third guest speaker for the day, Sai Ramchandran, the polymathic connector. Quite a curious title. Over to you, Sai.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. After two doctors, you have an engineer in the house. My name is Sai Ramachandran, and I am a keynote speaker and author, and now I'm a stand-up comedian as well. So let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm a software engineer turned stand-up comedian and professional speaker. After 14 years abroad, working at companies like Goldman, Pepsi, Frito-Lay's, and Thermo Fisher Scientific, I decided to return to India in 2017 to find my true calling. And after a few years, I discovered that while engineering, software engineering can be very rewarding, I enjoy deconstructing concepts and sharing big ideas from first principles. This insight has set me on my journey to becoming a professional speaker, which has taken me in front of audiences spanning the entire English alphabet, from Australia to Zambia. And that's what I do now. I am a professional speaker. Back to you, Jasmine.
Thank you, Sai, for that introduction. Appreciate it. And we have doctors and we have an engineer. We also have many more professionals. But what connects all of us right here on the stage is we all are speakers as well. With that note, welcome again for joining us in this PSAI Talk Show. I am very excited. I'm sure the audience are also excited to listen to all these three speakers to understand their amazing experience when they spoke in the New Zealand Summit. So now, without further ado, let me jump to the first question. Now, this question is to Sai. Yeah? All right. Sai, when you heard the news about speaking in the New Zealand Summit, what are some of the preparations which you did? Share with us, please.
So I was pretty comfortable with my topic that had proposed to the New Zealand the summit organizers, and I was comfortable that I'd be able to handle the topic. So my first prep work was figuring out what visa I'd need, how much the flight tickets were going to cost, how much the hotel tickets were going to cost. All those basics I had to worry about, because the rest of it, after having been with PSAI for about a year, I'd become pretty comfortable handling myself on global stages. So that was not really a challenge. But my biggest worry was, can I even afford this? That was my first question. So, Jasmine, I don't think that's what you wanted to hear. My prep work, of course, as the summit got closer and closer, there was a little more focus on the content itself and making sure that the content was tailored to the audience expected at the conference, because the conference was a conference for speakers. So you're expected to not just stay in your niche, but also make sure your niche connects some way with the speakers expected to be present at the conference. So to answer your question, the first prep work was on the finances and the visa and all the paperwork. The latter half of the prep work was on connecting the niche with the audience expected.
All right, wonderful. Sai, that leaves me scope for rephrasing my question. Okay, to be precise, let me ask Dr. Alka now. What are the preparations which you did, aligning your mind and your skill after you received this news about speaking in the New Zealand Summit? You're on mute, Alka.
Okay. So every time, everything that Sai has shared, exactly the same things, whether I can afford it, how to go about it, how to apply for the visa. But more important than that was I was trying to study the people of New Zealand. I was trying to understand their history, who they are, their farmers, and what they do now, and where have they been. And as I was studying about those people, I came across some kind of similarities. And my topic is about water and about adaptability. So I was trying to understand how I can adapt to this audience when I go on stage. So I looked up their work, I looked up their history, I looked up their music, their songs, and I found one song which was common. So something like that, I was working for the next 3 or 4 weeks on my content and how I can connect closely with the audience. Over to you, Primrose.
Wonderfully said. I think you quickly did the audience analysis. Yeah. All right. Now, Saurabh, how did you prepare? Because I'm sure each one of us have our different ways to prepare. So what is your thought on this question, please?
Absolutely. Taking ahead what Sai said, of course, the paperwork is very important to get into that country. So the paperwork, visa, and everything is important. Apart from that, when I came to know about the speaking opportunity that I had received, the first thing in my mind was what kind of audience I'm going to face there. What is the demographics? These people, because essentially we know, since we are going to a Professional Speakers Association New Zealand, like PSAI, they're going to be speakers. But what kind of speakers are these? Are these CSPs? How many are the news aspiring speakers? So it was essential that to know what kind of audience I was looking at, Also, I had two speeches, so I had to prepare for one workshop and one keynote. And since I talk on anger triggers, that was my topic which I had proposed, and how speakers can master their inner game despite facing so many triggers when they go globally, how they can make an impact. So, considering all these factors, my preparation revolved everything around this: how I can make an impact, how do I address the real challenges of the audience using my own niche, and how I can bring at least one key transformation in them after my speech.
Thank you, Saurabh. I really like the phrase where you said mastering the inner game. That's the most important part, and that was the background of my question as well. Preparation. Yeah, actually, many of you, or I should say, all three of you, have also touched upon my next question, which was great speakers usually make their speech relevant to the audience. All right. So, what was your message to the audience in the summit, and how did you make it relevant? So, since we concluded with Saurabh, I'm going to ask Saurabh this question. So, what was your message to the audience in the summit, and how did you make it relevant for them? While you have given some insights, if you can elaborate on that, that will be great.
Yes. So, we speak globally. A lot of us speak globally. A lot of us are CSPs. So one of the things which I highlighted onto my audience was, you can get the slides prepared. You can have the travel arrangements done. You can have uh, clothes. You can have everything, or even a prop to deliver your speech. One thing which you need to have is the grit and the resilience to deliver the speech. When we go out, there's most of the time something or the other will go wrong, and that is what demotivates us as a speakers a lot of time. That is where we lose our own self. Sometimes there are triggers like the flight delays, the presentation doesn't run, which happened in my case. So in this kind of thing, we lose the rhythm, we are demotivated, we forget our lines, we forget the script, we forget what we're going to say. So my message was, be resilient, triggers are going to come, have your energy, because your content is available online, the content can be googled. What will be unforgettable, or what will people remember about you, is your energy and your message. That is what I try to tell the audience addressing them in New Zealand.
Wonderful, Saurabh. So I can resonate two things from what you said. One is the human touch, because there are a lot of content in Udemy, YouTube, and so many other platforms, as you rightly said. So as a speaker, as a human being there, what difference can I make is something which you have shared. I really love that. And I absolutely resonate with the fact that sometimes the PowerPoint presentation won't work, mic won't work, or we even have a fall on the stage, which I eventually did in one of the stages. All right. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure the inputs which you gave are very, very useful for the audience who are listening to us as well. Now, I'm going to just ask my question again, the same question, because each one of the speakers had their own topic and they would have had their own specific message to the audience. So this question is to Sai. Sai, what was the message to the audience in the summit from your side, and how did you make it relevant for them?
As professional speakers, we need, first of all, a couple of things. We need the audience to understand our message, and we need to be able to connect with our audience directly and see visually that we're actually are connected with the audience. They're seeing what we're saying, they're understanding what we're saying, we're able to read their body language back to us. And one of the primary sources of that connection with the audience is humor. So my talk at PSANZ Trailblazers Conference was, how do you find humor and how do you add humor to your content so that you can see the audience responding to you, you're able to create a shared world together. Because one of the things about humor is that when you say something funny and somebody laughs at that moment, you and that other person are forming a bond with each other, an emotional bond with each other, because you're finding similar things funny at the same time. So that's a very powerful relationship to build with somebody who's not known to you. All you know from them about them is that they're sitting in the audience in front of you. And the minute you share a joke that they find funny, or they say something that you find interesting and amusing, you form a deeper connection with them that can last a lifetime, because you share the same sense of humor. So this was something that a lot of speakers are a little bit wary of. They don't know where to find humor. They don't know how to be funny. They are a little afraid of humor, whether their business demands it or not. For example, some speakers might be talking about something serious, like they might be talking about, say, resilience or topics which are a little more on the serious side of things. Can humor be used in those contexts? So I wanted to make the case that humor is your friend, and humor is a visible indication that the audience is connecting with you. So don't run away from it and embrace it. And I gave them tips on how to find humor in their own lives, from their own lives, and insert that in their content. Back to you, Jasmine.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think, you lived by your speech today as well, because when you were put on the stage, started your introduction with, we have two doctors and there is an engineer in the house. Yes, something like that. So you have demonstrated already how humor can definitely elevate, notch about the usual introductions or speech. Now, I also have a follow-up question to you, Sai. You mentioned about humor, and you also said that it kind of creates a connection with people. Now, not everybody is very comfortable using humor. It doesn't come naturally to them. So, for people like that, who are too serious about the speech or themselves, or it's not their natural way of speaking, what would you advise on adding the element of humor in their talk? Because that, you said, creates a connection with the audience.
That's a fantastic question, and a really quick way to add humor into your content is to look at embarrassing stories in your own life. Because believe it's oxymoronic. It sounds crazy when I say it, but the minute you share an embarrassing story about your own life, for example, sometime you're running late and you fell flat on your face, or like you did, Jasmine, when you said that I've myself fallen on stage. That is an embarrassing story that if you had expanded that a little bit more and said, you know what, I was walking on stage and I tripped and I fell and I hurt myself and people laughed. So that becomes something that the audience can be like, oh, if this can happen to someone as polished as Jasmine, or can happen to Sai, then whatever happened to me is not such a big deal. So they are able to lift themselves above whatever is embarrassing about their own life. So which I feel is a great mechanism to tell people that you're as human as they are. It's not fake authenticity. It's not like, these things when people say, you should be authentic on stage. It basically means you have to be a real human being who has real problems, who's faced the same things other people have. So I would say that embarrassing stories are a great place to start. The other powerful, and you don't have to think too much about it, is to recognize moments, because that's another trigger of laughter. For example, if you say we're in a moment where we're say 20 minutes before lunch, and this person is giving a keynote speech which is going to last another 20 minutes, and you recognize that and say, yes, I know you guys are hungry, but let's take another 20 minutes to cover this conversation. So just recognizing the fact that the audience is feeling something, is going through some emotions. It could be because the time is not it's close to the lunch break, or there's a storm coming and you can say, I know you guys want to get ahead of the storm and go back home, but let me finish this in the next 5 minutes and you'll enjoy it. So those kind of things become a really nice way to get the audience opened up to you again, smiling and laughing again, and they'll understand that you're as human as they are. They just like they have problems about whether if a storm is coming, they have to get back home, or they're hungry because there's lunch coming. You feel that too. You recognize those things too. So you're as human as they are. You're not some person who's not some on a pedestal, and you don't feel the same things they do. So that those two are the most important means of injecting humor: embarrassing stories and recognizing the moment you're in at that moment. Jasmine?
Wonderful, wonderful, Sai. So I am going to just like blow my own trumpet here, because you gave that when you were saying about the incidents. I said, you mentioned Jasmine also had this phrase where she said like she was about to fall on the stage or fell on the stage. You could have narrated it for someone as polished Jasmine. So I'm going to just take that as a compliment. Yeah. So this is how we all work when it comes to hosting. All right. Now, audience who are listening to us, these are amazing avenues for you to ask interesting questions, curious questions from these three stalwarts who are here gathered in this special edition of the talk show, because we usually will have one speaker. Now we have got three. So please capitalize on this and ask your curious questions, and we will be happy to post it to the guest and they will be able to answer. Now, moving on to Alga. Alga, I remember you mentioning that adaptability was a part of your speech. And now, would you be able to elaborate on what was your exact message to the audience in the summit, and how did you make it relevant for them? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, my talk is about flexibility and fluidity. So, as a speaker, if we sit on a very high pedestal, we cannot connect with the audience. So, it's all about how you can be resilient, how you can be flexible, how you can be adaptable. So, when I reached Auckland airport, I was picked up by a friend of mine, and this friend of mine took me to a very, very beautiful place where there were meadows and there was sunshine. So, what I want to say is that whatever you prepare gets changed over a period of time. When you look at the audience, when you look at the people and things before the actual actual talk happens, things change. My talk also changed. A little bit of a message also changed. So when I went to this place, he said to me that there is sunshine today, and you got the sunshine. And what made me understand that was he showed me some snow-clad mountains from there, and he said that they are melting, and I made it part of my talk. What I meant to say was that water is adaptable, flexible, resilient, fine. But there is something about water which I had to connect with. That my story was about how I had become very rigid in my life, and I was almost going to be broken. Actually, I broke my bone, I broke my ankle. So if you're very rigid in your life, you get broken. And this was a sign that when you are rigid, you become like ice, you become like snow on a slow clad mountain. And what I meant to say to them is when you get people into your life, people are like sunshine. And when they come into your life with their warmth and with their love and affection in their hearts, they melt the rigidity, they melt the snow on the mountains into a free flowing, warm river. So this was a change which came after I reached over there, and it was brought to me by those people only, by the people in New Zealand only. And then I was talking to them. This is what I said: that people and purpose and playfulness actually is very, very important. Playfulness also comes from water, and purpose also comes from water, because purposefully the water goes, effortlessly the water moves, and it's very, very playful. So all of these things cause connection, they bring connection, and water is the biggest connector. And that is how I place my speech, and things go on changing when you reach the place and when you're going to go on the stage and speak. So to be adaptable to the people who are coming in your audience, the seniority of the people, who are the people. And let me tell you one thing: we cannot have a fixed speech for anybody or any audience. It has to be adaptable, flexible, and purposeful and playful. Thank you so much, Jasmine.
Got it. I can see you demonstrate that playfulness as well, Alka.
Yeah.
And I can also see that a speaker should also be agile on the spot when they pick up some description, some profound message which they can interrelate. They should also be in a position to do that. Thank you for sharing that insight. Now, I'm going to ask Saurabh this question. Saurabh, how did PSAI enable this wonderful opportunity of speaking in the summit for you? How did the selection happen? If you can get into the details, I am particularly very curious.
Yeah. So being part of PSAI, I think it's evident that we are all connected to all the 17 associations across the world. Any call for speakers, any other PSA from a different country, if they are having a convention, of course they float the speak call for speakers into the association groups through various precedents and connections. So that's one advantage, or that's one of the perks of being part of such an amazing community like PSAI, where you get call for speakers. And that is when we had applied for the same. The call for speakers came through us, through the community, where from so many conventions we get call for speakers. That is when my friend Sai applied first, and then I, looking at him, I applied being motivated. So that is where we applied, and then the maybe I think after a month or so we got an email that we have been selected. So they screen through your profiles. They ask for what your topic is, because they want something which is relevant to the audience, which is again speakers. They look for your speaker videos, and also what are the takeaways that you're going to deliver to the audience. So after filling all this, I think a month or so back, there was not much of a filtration process. I think we directly got an email based on what we had filled. So it's really an advantage being a part of this community, that you are exposed to some amazing opportunities like this.
Wonderful, Saurabh. Now, when you mentioned that being a part of this community wonderful opportunities will come in, and then it is up to us to go ahead and kind of capitalize on that. And you explain the selection process as well, and how PSAI enabled this for you as well. Now we have a question: script-based speech versus conversational and natural speech. How to balance both? This question is for Sai.
Sunil, the real truth is that there's no speech which sounds conversational, which is actually fully conversational. I mean, of course, if it's crowd work, it's one thing, but 99% of the time, when you're on stage, you've prepared exactly what you want to say, the way you want to say it, and you do have room for audience inputs coming in and responding to it. It's not like you're going to be completely straight jacketed, but I would say the split, if you had to ask me, the split would probably be 70-30, maybe not even 30, maybe 80-20. 80% of your content is stuff you already know you're going to say a certain way and you want to deliver it a certain way. That doesn't only mean humor. I'm talking about everything people are doing on stage. Even the best keynote speakers whose entire thing looks like they just rolled out of bed and they're doing a keynote speech for you, they've actually practiced it. It's practiced naturalness, and that's what you will end up reaching. If you, the more professional speaking you do, you'll reach that stage of practiced naturalness. And yes, it does happen that the audience says something that you can incorporate. For example, in today's conversation's case, Jasmine said something about falling down, and I did include that in my response to her. But that's not what you can rely on. And the key thing to remember is that while you could be funny spontaneously, being spontaneous and making sense at the same time is a tough thing to do. It's quite difficult to be able to find interesting things to say on the topic at hand, because you're delivering a keynote speech not because they like the sound of your voice. You have a message to share. You have an actual impact to make. To make that impact, you can't rely on moments to occur where the audience will say something that you can pick up and then relate it to the message that you want to deliver and go ahead and make that point. So practiced naturalness is where most speakers end up at. There might be a few speakers who can just go ahead and just riff every time, but it's more likely that they've practiced really hard on the content they want to share on stage. And that goes for humor as well. So just remember that if you want to deliver a message, you can't leave it up to chance. Jasmine, back to you.
Yeah, what an amazing answer, Sai. Practiced naturalness. I'm going to just take that phrase from you as well. Yeah. So we have an interesting question from Lester. Could you describe the time when your message evolved from being insightful to being unmistakably yours, something only you could say in the way you say it? Right. I'm going to ask this question to Saurabh, and then I'm going to come to Alka. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if I understand it right, what Lester is trying to ask is something which only you can make an impact with your own way, right? So when we deliver a speech or when we are going on a stage, it's very important how your delivery style is, how your words are, what kind of words are. Of course, I agree with Sai that you cannot literally have a complete word to word script. At the same time, you have to be natural at it. So when you're natural at it, uh, there are certain messages when you deliver stay with the audience. They're unforgettable, like I said. So in one of my speeches, not literally on the global stage, but online, I had to deliver a speech based on the triggers. How do you master your triggers as a student, which was recently to a South African university a couple of months back. So one thing which I said with a pause and the stress was, you are what you eat. You are what you eat. And this is what stayed with them. And couple of students whom I had one-on-one session with actually resonated with it. So the point is, every person has a very peculiar and unique delivery style, and there are certain messages based on your niche that if only that speaker delivers, it makes a different impact, even if those words could be common, even if that message could be heard a lot. But there's certain times when certain speaker delivers certain takeaways or messages, it stays with the audience. So this stayed with my audience when I was delivering it to a South African university students couple of months back.
Wonderful. Thank you, Saurabh. I really like the way where you picked up something which has happened in real life and you connected it with the question which Lester has asked. Absolutely amazing answer. Now we have one more interesting question coming up from Ramaprasad. How different was your experience in a new environment and culture? Were you able to connect as easily as the local audience? Now, Alga is the one who did talk about the audience analysis. So I'm going to ask Alga to answer this question, please. Alga, you're on mute. Sorry. Yeah.
So I was first preparing for the answer about when did I own my message? And then I'll come to this. So the question is that from your childhood, when you grow into adulthood, when you become what you are today, there are some things that you want to share with the world. And it's a question of clarity, it's a question of articulation. The message becomes clearer and clearer. The more we speak, the clearer we get. And I think as a child, I had this "Be Like Water" written in my drawing room, in my living room. And my dad had four daughters, so he was preparing us all to adapt to the new world where we were going into. And that's what it was staying in me, in my subconscious mind. And that's what I made it into my message about being fluent. And my dad always said that slash your ego, don't keep your ego too high. Like how Saurabh says, no anger. So anger comes also from a lot of ego. So the thing is that when we are talking and talking and sharing, and PSAI is a platform which gave me an opportunity to share my message many number of times. So whenever we have a physical meeting, when we have online meetings, we share our message and we keep honing our message. We get more clarity in how we can adapt the message to the speaking community and how it can be useful to the speaking community. And that's what. And the time that my message became my own was in 2024 when I went to the PSA for PSA Talk Show. Now, coming to your question of connecting with the audience, I tell you one thing that the New Zealand people, the Auckland people, they're very much like us. Do you know something? At night, when on the first day, our time for meeting was, I think, by 6 or 7. But people started coming at 3 o'clock in the hotel lounge, and I was sitting there already from 12 o'clock, sitting and talking to another lady, and all the people from 3 o'clock we started meeting and meeting and meeting, and we were sitting that day for 12 o'clock in the night. And people want to talk. People want to learn about you, just like we want to learn about them. Even they wanted to learn about us, talk to us, ask us questions. Even after my talk, I remember Graham, and there was one more person, I can't remember the name, Bill. They all came and they sat with me and they were asking me about the Indian culture. So they also want to learn about the Indian community and what they do and their cooking and their scriptures, and so much they were asking questions. So the audience here in Auckland was very warm. They were very, they gave me a sense of belonging, and they were chatterboxes like us. They wanted to talk about themselves and they wanted to listen to us. So I really enjoyed the audience, and enjoying the audience the one day before the talk gives you a lot of connection and sense of belonging, and it becomes easier for us to go and give the speech on the next day. So thank you so much for that question of yours.
You're welcome, Alka. And what an amazing way to answer to those two questions side by side. Now, when we connect with the audience, obviously our message is also going to land really, really well. And I'm sure our audience who have tuned in for today's talk show are definitely taking in insights and inputs from that. I'm going to move on to Sai for this question. Sai, how did this speaking experience, okay, of talking in New Zealand Summit impact your speaking journey? What
I
impact did
mean,
you have after that? Yeah.
so I'm an engineer. So in mathematics, there's this thing called a step function where it goes, you're starting off at a baseline, and then you go whoop really high once, and you come back down, and you go and you continue your life. So in my view, this visit to New Zealand, interacting with people who take their professional speaking so seriously, was like a step up for me. Like it pushed me from being at my baseline comfortable. I'm good enough to be a Toastmaster. I'm good enough to maybe compete at the area division district levels, and I'm winning a contest here and there, and that's good enough for me. It was not like that at all. These people, they have an entire roadmap for everything about their professional career. For example, the contacts they make, how they nurture those contacts is amazing. That there are people even in that Trailblazers WhatsApp group today who post pictures of them meeting people that they met at the conference at different airports. They'll be like, I'm flying through Sydney and I'm going to look up a person who came to the conference with us. I'm going to meet that person in Sydney, take a picture with them and post them on the group. So these are people who take their professional speaking extremely seriously. It is really their bread and butter. It's not just a side hustle. It's not just an interesting hobby to try out. For them, it's a serious thing. And these are not people who are making money from it today. These are people who are like me, like I guess Saurabh and Alka also. They're early in their professional speaking journeys, but they're still investing in their professional speaking journey. These are people who've spent thousands of dollars in getting a good speaker's reel made, though they know that the ROI on that is going to come maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 years later. They have the same worries as us, they have the same concerns as us, but the only difference between them and me is that they are taking action. And that is a big learning, that taking action is more important than getting the exact correct action done in that moment. You will never get everything right every time. And that's one realization for me. Like these are, I was worried, if I'm going to spend $1,500 on getting a speaker's reel made in New Zealand, where will be the ROI on that? And I was being stupid about it. I mean, I'm going to be honest about it. I'm being very short-sighted and very blinkered in my view that money is more important, and saving those big bucks is more important than getting a good product built that I can just then feel proud about. And that was my big learning. And I think the step up from understanding this, just realizing that, if you want to take something seriously, if you want something to work for you, you have to take it seriously. And you have to work towards it. You have to invest in it. And that has informed a lot of my further dealings in my speaking journey, in my entrepreneurship efforts that I do on apart from professional speaking. Unbelievable. If you ask me, I would say it changed me from being a wannabe to I definitely want to be. The difference is I'm a wannabe. I'll just try something. But you know what? I got to do this. I got to do this because I'm seeing people do it and they're at the same level as me. These are first time, second time conference attendees. These are not 20-year veterans who've come and invested in their professional speaking. So I would say my big change was I was being very stupid about my entire professional speaking.
There's no difference between wannabe and want to be. Okay, it's only a grammatical way of writing. Okay.
That's Sai's, humorous touch there. All right, Sai. Yeah, absolutely. Sai, I really liked your honesty, where you vulnerably said what was the initial thought and then how the transformation happened. That's the real impact. And thank you so much for sharing that with such a lot of honesty and integrity. I know humor is one of your niche. However, you were talking very seriously about your impact here. So thank you so much for giving that insight. Now, Saurabh, I'm sure each one of us, though we have the commonality called speakers, each of you would have interpreted this experience in a different way. So the same question to you, how did it impact your life?
Well, going to a new environment definitely changes you, and it changed me as well. I was also a bit skeptical because speaking at different events, speaking in different countries, but this was the first time I had gone so far away. And one of the thoughts in my head was, how will these people accept us? How will they uh, nurture us? What are their thoughts? Are they better than us? So there were a lot of mixed feelings for me. But like Alka said, when we went there, we chilled with them one night before the event. They were just like us. They were very curious. They were very accepting. They were very much connecting and open to learn. So that actually put down all my anxiety, all my stress, and gave me more energy. And there were a lot of learnings which I took from the summit by attending it, by connecting with those people. Quite a few of them were the energy that these speakers had. Even though there were some of the aspiring speakers, some new members in PSA New Zealand, they were very energetic in connecting, talking to us. So the energy is what brought a change in me, in a way that I was much more motivated to go globally, speak globally if there's an opportunity. I mean, the way we look at professional speaking, these guys are very good, very open to talking about what they offer, selling themselves. A lot of times we speakers shy away from selling us, thinking what would the other person think. But that really changed my perspective in this conference. That It's okay. Sometimes you have to be shameless to sell. Not aggressively, but in the right way, of course, selling without selling. But that changed my perspective, and it put me in a different zone where I understand that as a speaker, we have to not only make an impact, but we have to also talk about the credibility. Third thing is we Indians speak very fast. We Indians speak, we Indians don't open our mouth much. We speak very fast. One thing which I noticed in any other speaker outside India is their voice is strong and they enunciate properly. They open their jaw so that the words come out are pronounced in the right way. So that is another thing that changed my perspective about talking. I've learned to enunciate better. I've learned to open and work with the jaw better. And lastly, the script which Sai spoke a while back. I had a habit of learning the script, delivering it. But one thing which I learned is have a guiding script, make the points, but not necessarily you should be referring to the script. The script should be natural enough so that you just flow, like Alka said, you just flow like the water as a speaker, but at the same time connect with the audience one on one. So this is what were my learnings from the convention.
Wonderful. Saurabh, I also like the way how you sequentially arranged what was your learning and how it impacted you. And I absolutely relate to the fact that when it comes to if I can say it as international speakers, they really, really intonate. Their ECG graph really, really goes up and down, up and down. I absolutely relate to what you're saying. However, we can always learn best practices from the fellow speakers. We speak in a particular way. We have our own, highlights, and we can also go ahead and embrace the learning which we get from talking in summits like this, and that's what PSAI enables us with. Amazing. Now, the impact which it had on you, Alka, if you can share the top two impacts, that will be great.
So for me, the top two impact, even before we went for the conference, we were able to have meetings with this with the president. She was easily available to us, and we had one or two sessions even before we even joined them. I remember once I was somewhere on some international airport and I had a meeting with these people. I couldn't hear much, but then she got back to me and then she told me the summary of the meeting. Of course, even Saurabh helped me. But the point I'm trying to make is that the thing to I learned from them was the connection that made with them, the friendship that I made with them. Today also we are talking to so many of those people. Saurabh and I will agree that in the group, the internet, in the group, we are having a lot of connectivity, and we're talking and we're chatting with many of them. There's a guy called Angus. Now he's going to be here for our PSS 2026 in Chennai, and he was so good. He was funny and he was playful and he was all of that. So I'm thinking that the friendships that I made with these people are going to be lasting for a pretty long time. And the learnings are whatever Saurabh and Sai have shared, to be shameless. That comes little slowly. It's a habit, it's a skill that one has to nurture, one has to develop. It's not easy for everybody. But the thing to learn about them is the way they speak and the seriousness about the business that they take. It's not just speaking on the stage, it's not a keynote, it's a business of speaking. And that's what at PSI they're teaching us how to grow as a business. The speaking is a business. It's not just about preparing a keynote. There's lots to it, and we are going to talk about it in our future sessions. So thank you for that question.
Amazing, amazing. Lovely to know your thoughts, Alka. Now that you spoke about PSS conference, I'm going to share this quick memory. I joined PSAI, think last year, just before the FEP conference in Mumbai, and was an amazing experience meeting so many speakers, like-minded people. They say vibe with the tribe, and that's what happened. It was an amazing experience. From then till now, I am motivated just because of the energy which I received from that conference. So, with that being said, we have a conference coming up, PSS 2026, right here in this city where I'm sitting and talking to you all, Chennai. And for those of you who have tuned in, this is your opportunity to register for this conference. You would have the link popping up very, very soon. And then we are also going to show you a quick glimpse of what can be in store for you in PS's 2026 conference. Let's look at the video.
One voice can spark an idea, but many voices united create a movement. We are speakers, we are storytellers, we are change makers. We stand on the power of our words, but words alone don't shape the future. It is when voices come together, when knowledge is shared, that's when true transformation happens. We are a young association, bold, relentless, taking confident strides into the world of professional speaking. But we don't walk alone, we rise together. And what better place to experience synergy than a land where time itself has stood witness to it? Welcome to Chennai. This year we gather not just to speak, but to breathe, reflect and connect at a one-of-a-kind beachside retreat in Chennai. Set along the scenic East Coast Road, this beachfront venue blends elegance with energy. Walk barefoot on the sands. Let the sea breeze ignite your next big idea. Share the table with folks from all over the globe and indulge in a buffet that could range from Tair Sadam to biryani, angel hair pasta to zucchini salad, fried fish to grilled lobster, and coconut-drenched curries from coastal India. AI will shape our tools, but synergy will shape our destiny. Because while technology may keep throwing up the next big thing, humanity has always strived on synergy. This is our moment. This is our stage. This is our synergy. Professional Speakers Summit 2026. Lock the date. Come join us. Be a part of the moment.
That was an amazing, amazing video. I had literally goosebumps, and I am ready to allow synergy to shape my destiny for sure, because it's not just the food, the flavor, it's also the beach and the presence of wonderful speakers and new people whom I'm going to meet is exciting me. I have registered for the PSS 2026 conference. If any one of you have not registered as yet, please go ahead and register. This is your time so that you wouldn't miss the opportunity to be a part of this amazing, amazing experience. Now we are almost towards the last few legs of our talk show today. So I'm going to just quickly ask this cherry on the cake question, if I can call it. So what is that one key takeaway which you would like to give to the aspiring speakers who have tuned in today? So one tips or one key takeaway which you would like to give. I'm going to start with Sai.
I'm going to take this opportunity to somewhat reference a question that Gautam had asked, how to move away from training into keynotes. So one tip I'm going to give you is that I learned from actually attending Trailblazers in Auckland was that if you're a trainer who wants to be a keynote speaker, your price points are going to be at one level. But if you're a keynote speaker who can do trainings, your price points and your income is going to be at a different level. So my advice to you, Gautam, and the tip for any speaker is that if you're a trainer, keep that income or that business going. But if you can present yourself as a keynote speaker who does training on demand, if the price is right and the moment is right, you're always more likely to make a good living from being a keynote speaker. So trust yourself and position yourself as a keynote speaker. The trainings will follow, because anyway, if you're building a training business, you have customers, but there are people who are willing to pay a lot more of a premium for keynote speakers. So go and attack that business next. That's it.
Thank you, Sai. And I really like the way how you connected the question I asked along with the question from the audience as well. That was amazing. And that's the way speakers demonstrate their spontaneity. Thank you, Sai. Now, Saurabh, this question is to you. Today, if you have to leave our aspiring speakers or whichever audience who has tuned in with one tips using which they can scale up their speaking journey, what would be that key takeaway which you would like to share?
Oh, well, one key takeaway is start today. There is no tomorrow. A lot of aspiring speakers think that let me be perfect, let me practice. Of course, practice is important. Let me be perfect, not today, tomorrow, maybe some other day. So, for all the aspiring speakers, it really doesn't matter. What matters is your voice, which is most powerful, just like the way Harish sir says. Start today. Start as a speaker. Start practicing as a speaker. Work on your delivery. I won't touch on the price point because my friend Sai has already touched it. But start working on your delivery. Keep practicing and start today. There is no tomorrow.
Absolutely brilliant point. I really liked the way you complimented the other speakers who are sharing their points as well, without going ahead and repeating. Again, that shows the spontaneity and the experience there. And amazing tips. That is a takeaway for me as well. Now, I'm going to move to Alka. Alka, what would be that amazing tips? You've been giving amazing tips throughout your talk. What is
Yeah,
that for audience now? Yeah.
yeah, to scale up your speaking career, Saurabh plus Sai. And for me, it is the power of human connection. Make those friendships, meet the people in your life, see what they're doing. And today, my friends, today the biggest opportunity is PSS 2026. What are you waiting for? Come and join 2026. Come to Chennai, come to Mahabalipuram, meet the people there, and we are going to be having extraordinary, great speakers coming to you. You don't have to go anywhere. You have to just come to Chennai. Come there into the sea and the water and the food and whatever is there. Come and listen to these great, spectacular, dynamic, iconic speakers. All that's all what you got to do. Just listen to them. Just see their style. Just look at the modulation. Just see what they're doing and how they're speaking. And you can start looking at like them and you can start behaving like them and you can start conducting yourself like them. So my only thing today is come. Come to PSS 2026. That is my message to everybody today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alga. And now Alga has become our brand ambassador for the PSS 2026. So much for doing that. Yeah, right. Absolutely. There is no tomorrow. You start today, and that includes attending the conference, thinking of attending the conference as well. Now, what a wonderful discussion we had. We had three amazing speakers here, and whatever learning they had traveling to New Zealand in the summit, they gave us so selflessly here for all of us. And it was such an amazing, amazing discussion. And I would like to thank again Alga, Saurabh, and Sai for sharing your experiences with such honesty and energy. It's inspiring how to hear, each of you embrace that experience and share that with us as well. Now, to everyone who's watching us, I hope this conversation reminds you that every stage, every story, and every connection has the power to transform us. Now, I would like to take up this opportunity also to thank the PSA Talk Show team, which consists of Yabi Jan, Mithil Dev, Vijay Seshadri, for being there in every step of the way to make this talk show happen, fortnightly. Yeah. All right. Now, thank you everyone for joining us today. And this is your host, Primrose, signing off. Alga, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say and thank you, Jasmine, for being such a wonderful host for this evening. You did a great job and you
Thank
did a
you.
fantastic job. Thank you to the host. Yeah.
Thank you. Praises and raises are something which human beings like. And thank you,
Yes.
Alka, for giving that praise. And this is your host, Primrose Jasmine, signing off today. And until next time, keep speaking, keep growing. See you all in
Thank,
another talk show.
thank you
Bye,
so
everyone.
much.
Welcome.